Beautiful Petco Park opens its gates tonight for the Cubs of Chicago. Under ideal conditions, Padres 1-2 punch of Justin Upton. Matt Kemp helped San Diego to a series win at Wrigley earlier this year. And Anthony Rizzo off to a rip-roaring start for the Cubs, top 5 in the National League on base and slugging percentage, hitting .344. As we welcome you to Petco Park and Game 1 of this 3-game series, the Chicago Cubs in second place in the National League Central against the San Diego Padres, needing a win to hit that 500 mark tonight. We welcome back Mark Grant. I'm Dick Enberg. Thank you for joining us on this Monday, or actually we're off on Monday, Tuesday evening. Now we've got it right. And James Shields, he has had it right all season long.
He has, and tonight is win night. When James Shields takes the mound, it gives you that impression for team and fans that it is win day. He's undefeated, and last time out in Seattle, it was full acceleration from the first inning on. He left the game and his tank was empty. He left it all on the field. So what did he do in those 6 innings, 6 hits? Hey, the strikeouts are there. If he could stay out of the heart of the plate and avoid the home run, a lot of the home runs he's given up have been solo shots. Majority, well over majority. So go right after him, expand the zone, and then work that changeup. But James Shields, if he's on his game, it's win day here in San Diego on this Tuesday night to start the series.
You know, he's only 3 strikeouts away, James Shields, of leading the National League in punch-outs. We'll see if he has that big pitch going for him tonight, and he'll need to use it against young Chris Bryant.
Oh, he has something at the plate. He's made adjustments at the plate at the big league level. This kid has seen pitches. He leads Major League Baseball in seen pitches at the plate, and with 24 RBIs, the most since April 17th. The big thing is he's making adjustments at the big league level. He's tearing it up.
Well, Will Myers, will get a report on him. Myers is not in the lineup again tonight. We'll get the latest on his injury situation when we return. First of a 3-game series as we welcome aboard tonight the newest member of our Fox Sports San Diego team, Allie Sturm.
Thank you, Dick, for the kind introduction. Some tough news today on Will Myers. He was placed on the 15-day disabled list, retroactive from May 11th. And I spoke with Buddy Black earlier today, and he said there is no timetable on Will's return. He just needs some time to heal.
He needs rest. He needs that tendon needs rest, as you guys know. You know, any sort of inflammation, tendonitis, you know, it's a little tight area right in there, and it just has to calm down. It has to calm down. There's no timetable for his return. You know, this is just going to, you know, this is unique to, you know, every individual, every player, you know, how they come out of an injury. And, you know, we know that it's sore. We know that it's painful when he swings. He tried to hit today early, and it wasn't happening. So we made this move.
Hopefully we'll see Will back here soon. And coming up next, James Shields looks to grasp his 6-0 start. It's going to be a tough task, though, because the Cubs have won the 6 out of their last 7 games. Mark Grant and Did Enbert have the call. First pitch is next on Fox Sports San Diego.
And this is exactly the kind of game that the Padres wanted for a James Shields top of the rotation acquisition. They've lost 3 in a row. They need to get back on the winning track, and they send out the 33-year-old veteran who is 5-0. And here's the Cubs lineup that will hit against him, brought to you by Hyundai. Dexter Fowler, the switch hitting center fielder. Then Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Starlin Castro in the cleanup spot. Miguel Montero, a nemesis to the Padres as an Arizona catcher, now with the Cubs. Jorge Soler in right field. Chris Coghlan, former National League Rookie of the Year. And Jason Hamill, that's what Joe Madden likes to do, insert his pitcher in the 8th spot in the order. Addison Russell, young infielder, hits 9th.
And the Padres scouting report for right-hander James Shields brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. For James Shields, making his 4th start here at Petco this year. Locate the heater. Strike one is so important. And we saw it in Chicago against these Cubs with the strikeouts. Expand late. He can do that with the fastball. He can do that with the changeup as well.
Padre defense tonight brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. We have Solarte at first base, and going backwards around the horn, Jerko at second, Amarista the shortstop, and Spanchenberg at third. The outfield, Upton and Kemp at the corners, and Will Venable in center field with the injury to Will Myers. Derek Norris behind the plate handling the offerings of James Shields. Pride and joy of Newhall, California. First of 3, folks. We hope you'll make plans to come out and see us tomorrow night and Thursday. If you're coming Thursday, remember that game is 1 hour earlier. A 6:10 start, as the Padres then will head up north by bus to open the weekend series against the Dodgers. Joe Maddon, 61 years young, popular skipper, first year with the Cubs, replaced Rick Renteria. And you might say he would fall into the category of the unorthodox.
No question about it. He's a great baseball man. He's kind of old school, but yet knows how to relate with the modern day player. He's got to believe in there in Chicago. Believe me, Dick, and we've talked about this. They've got a good crop of young talent mixed in with some veteran presence there in Chicago.
Yeah, the American Pharaoh, the great racehorse who has won both the Derby and the Preakness. Well, they're the Cubs are the American Pharaoh of the National League. A bunch of young thoroughbreds that are getting better with each race. Watch out. They're in second place as we begin tonight. Just 3.5 behind St. Louis in the Central. Shields is ready to work, and we're underway in San Diego. First pitch is in there, called by crew chief Dana DeMuth. Fowler, a good acquisition for the Cubs. Excellent defensive center fielder, good leadoff man. 1-1. He was right-handed all the way through his youth, and the Rockies signed him and said, hey, with your speed and all, why don't you try switch hitting? And now he might be better left-handed than he is right-handed.
Yeah, think about it. You make a good point, because switch hitting, as we take a look at Dana DeMuth, the crew chief behind home plate, just slap the ball on the ground and he can utilize that speed.
Getting a respectable 270. Rizzo hitting third. Interestingly, Maddon inserts Bryant second. He was hitting cleanup when they first called him up when we saw him in Chicago. 2-2. Raises the question, where do you put your best hitter?
I think number 3.
That's what most managers would say. And here again, Maddon a little different.
And theoretically, when you look at the lineup as it goes on, Chris Bryant is essentially hitting third, because Jason Hamill, the pitcher, is batting 8th. You have Addison Russell 9th, as if he were a leadoff hitter in the 9th position. Therefore, Bryant is batting third. And if I've confused you,
that's a good point. And that pitch confused Fowler as he's tied up. Strike 3. Well, when Bryant came up in his major league debut in Chicago when we were there, who did he face? James Shields.
And here's how he went about him. 3 pitches. First pitch, cutter, slider, changeup. To put him away, changeup. Uno, dos, adios, but it's a different Chris Bryant. Hit .327 over his last 14 games. Let's see how James Shields pitches against the rookie Bryant this at-bat.
He felt his way as a big leaguer. First 20 games, no home runs. He's figured that out quickly. Has hit 4 in the last 9 games. 24 RBIs already for Bryant.
Mentioned earlier, there are some swings and misses in Bryant's bat, and James Shields, a strikeout artist.
Line drive, foul. Past Spangenberg and down into Souvenir Corner.
I've always been a firm believer, as a pitcher, you want 2 of the first 3 pitches over for strikes. You want 1 and 2, not 2 and 1. That's when you get into trouble. Take a look at this high breaking ball, and Bryant kind of opens up a little bit too soon, and that bat kind of traveling through the strike zone, feeling for that pitch.
And he leads, and here's a rookie hitter. He leads the National League in most pitches per at bat. He's averaging 4 pitches every at bat since being called up. That's best in the National League. So selective. And there's the changeup. He saw that in Chicago.
And even though he's got that in the back of his mind, Chris Bryant, that's still going to be tough to hit and square up, because James Shields has such a good changeup. He'll throw it any time as well. We've seen that.
Tried to hit the outside corner, but obviously wide. Full count. And Bryant has walked 24 times, so his on-base percentage is outstanding. Got him inside. Another changeup was ball 4. Couple of quick strikeouts for James Shields.
Chris Bryant may have seen 6 pitches. Dick mentioned about 4 pitches leading the National League. Well, pitch 1 was down and away. Now he's even in the count. What does he do? That's a good recognition by Chris Bryant. He knows about the changeup. That one's over the plate but low. Okay, now he's going back to the one pitch that he got him in Chicago. He got him here, the changeup down and in, the swing and the miss. And yes, Chris Bryant showing frustration. How can I not hit that changeup? Well, that's a big league changeup, big boy.
Here's the former Padre having a sensational year, Anthony Rizzo. He's tied up inside. Did he go around? Apparently not. Rizzo, a solid .344 average with 8 home runs. He's stolen 8 bases, knocked in 23 runs. Off speed, 1-1. Another changeup. Rizzo's on base percentage with his walks and the way he's been hitting the ball is second best in the National League, just behind Bryce Harper. Rips that to right field, but at Kemp. And the inning comes to an end. 1-2-3 go the Cubs in the first. Here comes Spangenberg and the Padres. By your San Diego Lexus dealer. By Petco, what we feed them matters. By Sony, the leader of 4K Ultra HD. And by GMC, precision matters. All right, this is one of those Chamber of Commerce evenings here in San Diego. Glad you joined us. The Padres lineup is brought to you by Toyota. Spangenberg, Norris, Kemp, and Upton. Solarte at third base hits 5th, and Will Venable. Jed Jerko, swinging a better bat of late, is in the 7th slot, and then Amarista and James Shields. Against Jason Hamill. 32-year-old from Port Orchard, Washington is Hamill. He's 3-1, and he's had 4 outstanding starts in a row. 2-0, and that is news in itself because Hamill hardly ever walks a man. In fact, he's walked only 5 in the last 36+ innings. Left center field and hit well. Fowler chasing after it and makes the running catch. Well, we forewarned you. He can cover a lot of territory out there, and he takes extra bases away from Spangenberg.
Nice swing by Corey Spangenberg. It sounded like he got it on the barrel, but under it just a little bit too much. And when you're hitting it to that part of the park with Dexter Fowler out there, yeah, he's got that closing speed to where he can reach, and he just hangs on with that big guante of his. Almost like a cesta in high lie.
He liked it.
That's a big out.
Yeah, Spangenberg with this speed might be standing at third base if that ball gets by the glove. Here's Derek Norris. He takes strike 1. 289 is average. Big double count for him. 14 among the league leaders in 2 base hits.
The Padres are going to get some pitches to hit. As you mentioned, Dick, Jason Hamill, he is a strike thrower. He is going to be around the plate. Corey did a nice job of hitting that ball where it was pitched.
He was matched against James Shields back April 17th in Chicago. No decision. Shields got the win. A 3-run homer by Will Myers was the difference. No decision for Hamill, who allowed 4 runs and 7 hits in 6+ innings. Ripped, and what a glove job by Bryant at third, and throws him out. Chris Bryant. There was some speculation as to how well would he field his position as it came up through the minors. How about this play? Great hands.
Highway robbery. Plenty of time to collect himself and show off the arm as well, right to the chest of Anthony Rizzo. Here it is. That ball is hooking. It's a short hop. It's not one of those easy short hops, kind of in-betweeners.
Boy, the Cubs brought their defense. Both Spangenberg and Norris robbed of hits early. Matt Kemp, the right fielder, with 2 outs. In this, the best inning of the 9 innings throughout the course of this young season. The first inning, the Padres have scored 31 runs in the first inning. Strike 1 to Kemp. We mentioned earlier, 4 for 12 in the series in Chicago. Hit his only home run of the season there. Strike 2. Upton would be next. Little purpose pitch. 1-2.
Time now for the Cubs scouting report for Jason Hamill, brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Fastball, slider, curveball, change. He's going to be around 92-ish, but he can get up to 94, and he is a strike thrower, as I mentioned. He's going to be around the plate.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Kemp. Hamill against the Padres in his career is 4-3. ERA a little high, over 5. And it's a full count. So he jumped in front, 2 strikes, trying to get Kemp to go after something away.
I've always been a firm believer. If a pitcher throws a breaking ball 2-2 to go 3-2, you might see it again. Hamill might throw that breaking ball away here.
Roll to third, and it's a fair ball right at the bag as Bryant, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Jason Hamill, thanks to great defense from Fowler and Bryant. Brother Melvin back in action with more on that. Here's Allie Sturm.
Yes, one of the Padres' newest additions, Melvin Upton, the outfield, started his 20-day rehab assignment yesterday in El Paso, Texas. He missed all of spring training due to an inflamed bone in his foot. Yesterday, he went 2 for 4, and today he went 1 for 4 with a double. He is expected to have 40 to 50 at-bats before he returns. Guys?
All right, thank you, Allie. So Melvin Upton may indeed be a part of the Padres here shortly as Amarista on a 1-pitch, 1-out takes care of Starlin Castro. 4 straight retired by James Shields. Miguel Montero, the catcher.
Hey, I like it when a ball club has a big name player on the mend and coming back, because that's a problem you like to have.
Sure.
You'd rather have too many parts than too few.
Well, especially now the condition of Will Myers, hopefully he'll be back in a week or so off the DL, but those wrist injuries are very tricky. You're aggravating it every time you take a swing, and Myers has a very wristy swing. Let's hope it won't be long term, but if that should happen, you got some insurance in Melton Upton. Strike 1 to Montero. 4 home runs this year. He leads all National League catchers in on base and slugging percentage. Good pickup by the Cubs.
Absolutely. Always been a tough out. Gives you a good at bat, grinds it out. But the Padres have a grinder on the hill by the name of James Shields.
Padres, as they did against Castro leading off the inning, have the shift employed. Jerko and shallow right. And Shields ahead on the count, 1-2. Jorge Soler to follow. That defense of the Cubs showcased in the bottom of the first inning. No surprise there. They've been terrific on the defensive side of the ball. They haven't committed an error in over 8 games. Swing and a miss. Montero out in front of the changeup. 3 strikeouts for Shields, and at this moment, the second inning of May 19th, Shields is the leading strikeout pitcher in the National League. Breaking ball that time.
Good call, Dick. The old number 2, the curveball. So we've seen the changeup, seen the fastball.
Takes a lot off the curve, doesn't
Yes. Gets him way out in front. On that front foot, the hands kind of travel, kind of feel for that ball. Takes the sting out of that swing.
Here's the 23-year-old Cuban Jorge Soler, batting .273. He fills up that batter's box, doesn't he, with that widespread stance. Never saw his face in Chicago. We wore that.
How do we know that was him?
That's right.
That's not fair. If you wear one of the, you can't play. How do we know that wasn't Sammy Sosa at the plate?
There you go.
Seriously. I think that should be one of the rules. If it's cold out, you can't wear one of those masks. We don't know who you are.
Boy, thank goodness you're not commissioner. Huh? We'd have all kinds of rules. The more rules, the more problems.
Well, that curveball right there is a problem for Soler. Yeah, I think somebody may have gotten it on the backswing. I think Derek Norris once again. My goodness, talk about a catcher getting beat up. Check out the backswing of Soler.
Oh, clip the mask and not the helmet, thank goodness. Skips that one up, 2-2.
Even though he's wearing a helmet and a mask, you get a bat, that's going to rattle your cage. Watch the backswing here, and then watch his helmet.
So 2-2 to Soler. 2 outs here in the second. Base is empty. Strike 3 call. 2 strikeouts in the first, 2 more here in the second. And Shields has it going early. San Diego. It's a beautiful night. It's time for our T-Mobile game changer, and it involves Justin Upton leading off the second inning. National League home runs and home playing. 375 third best. His 8 home runs second best playing at home. 20 RBIs leads the National League, and he's got 6 game-winning RBIs. That's also first. 2 solo home runs on Sunday. And now has 8 home runs at Petco, 2 on the road. How do you figure that? He's hit so much better here than away from Petco.
I think those will even out, Dick. I think Justin Upton, through the course of his career, has proven that he can hit anywhere. My goodness, he's just got that short stroke. He's got that pop. And I think when it's all said and done, he'll have 30 plus, and it'll probably be 1 or 2 each way.
And with 8 stolen bases, he'll probably hit 20 in the steal department as well. 1-2 the count. It'll be Upton, Solarte, and Venable here in the second. But he's hitting just 206 on the road. 375 at home.
I think over the course of the summer, as it heats up, Justin Upton will even get hotter. And that last pitch we saw from Hamill, a mistake. I think after that one, the umpire's going to reach in for a new one in his ball bag and throwing it back to the pitcher.
Strike 3 called. Upton knew it. First strikeout for Hamill. And we have a chance now to introduce the Cubs defense, brought to you by Renovation Realty. Rizzo there at first base, anchoring this young infield, all 25 or younger. Russell, Castro, Bryant, second, short, and third, with Coughlin and Fowler. Soler in right field. Solarte hitting left-handed, 318, overall 277. Big breaking ball drops in there, 0-2. Last 4 starts for Jason Hamill. He's 2-0 with a 1.86 ERA. Hitters batting only 190, and he's showing it again early tonight, although some nice defensive play behind him.
John Hamill has the ability to do, we just saw it there, the pitch prior to the last one was a curveball for a strike, and then he just lowered that curveball lower in the zone. He can do that.
Shot right to Rizzo. One hop with a big glove. He takes it to the bag himself for the second out. And we have a chance now to look at the keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, put the Cubs in hibernation. You get it, Professor?
I got that.
Yeah. Put them away, put them to sleep.
Yeah, sleeping.
And the streak starts tonight. You got to start a winning streak sometime. I think tonight's going to be the night. Maybe win 12 out of 15, win 10 in a row. 12 out of 15, 18 out of 22.
Get that winning momentum, that train down the track.
The positive train.
Will Venable, 3 home runs. There's that big slow curveball dropping in again. The Cubs have won 6 of their last 7 and 8 of 12. He went around. This is the best start for Chicago in 6 seasons. They also were 21-16 back in 2009. So Joe Madden has them thinking victory. Yeah, one nice thing about this pitching matchup, Hamill and Shields don't waste any time. They get that ball and basically ready to work.
I love that. The position players love that. We talk about that all the time. Defenders are on their toes.
Broken bat looper and right to the third baseman Bryant. Boy, flying missile. Fortunately, no injury, no score. A flying spear goes right at Hamill. Hamill about halfway there. Look at it. Now he recognized. Oh, wow. And that barrel goes all the way to second base. That's how much momentum was behind it. That could have really been serious. Goodness.
Very, very lucky.
Thank goodness. It just missed him. Chris Coghlan will lead off the Cubs third against James Shields, then Hamill hitting eighth, and the second baseman Addison Russell. Ball hit well to right center field. A long, long run for Venable, and he's not going to get there. That ball clears the wall, and Coghlan on the first pitch of the third inning gives the Cubs a 1-0 lead, his fifth of the year. And the 13th home run allowed by Shields this year.
First pitch, fastball. We talked about location. James Shields, he wanted to get ahead with the fastball down and away. That one leaked over the middle of the plate. And Bud Black said it before the game as we take a look at the reaction. And as soon as it was out of the hand, off the bat, James pretty much knew it. He just plainly said, we need to pitch better. Fundamental pitching principles. No leadoff walks, first pitch strikes, no 2-out walks.
Hamill's not a bad hitter himself,
No.
5 for 18. Well, the 13th homer allowed by Shields, and it's a place in the baseball standings you don't want, leads the major leagues in home runs with 13. 420-foot shot off the bat of Coghlan.
You want the silver lining to that home run stat? 11 have been solo shots. 11 of the 13. You're going to give up home runs. There's no doubt about it. You make 33 starts a year. If you give up 33 home runs, you're doing okay. Now, if you're going Bert Blyleven, what do you give up, like 600 one year?
How many did you give up?
It was in the 50s or whatever, 60s home runs. But if you're going to give up home runs, hey, the solo shot's the way to go.
So Hamill strikes out, the fifth punch out for Shields. And now hitting ninth, the second baseman Addison Russell.
Look at where the glove of Derek Norris is. Now watch on contact as it leaks over the heart of the plate. On contact, splits the heart, drops the head. First pitch fastball.
Shields knew it. He could only hope it wouldn't carry that far. 1-0 Cubs. Russell, just 21 years of age. Number 1 draft pick by Oakland a couple of years ago. 11th overall. His position eventually they feel will be shortstop, but with Castro at short, using him at second. Another foul tip off Derek Norris. It just seems he has an inordinate number of foul tips.
It's unbelievable. That poor kid. And he would be the last guy to say, you know, woe is me. But look at this foul tip. And that's off the knee, folks. And that's with a shin guard on, protecting the knee. His right knee, watch the right knee. Bam. And even though he's wearing that shin guard, that hurts.
And you wonder why catchers, veteran catchers, don't run to first base quite as fast as some of the other players. And that's a constant beating they take every time they go out. And he just is, every game he gets 4 or 5 of those.
And he knows what he signed up for. That's the kind of guy he is. That's the kind of mentality he takes behind home plate. He's like, okay, shake it off. Let's get this guy now.
Umpire Demuth taking plenty of time to allow probably the numbness in that knee to get some feeling. 1-2. Bounce that one up there. 2-2. So here's the thinking with the pitcher hitting 8th. You have Russell batting 9th, and then Fowler and Bryant. And so Bryant is just 3 away. And if you think of it as the start of the inning, it is not this time, but could be later if the pitcher makes an out.
Right.
High pop up left side. Spangenberg. 2 away. And it's Fowler who struck out the first time. First hit of the game, either side. Chris Coghlan goes deep. there again, that part of Petco Park in the past, ball doesn't carry like that. That is a tough area to hit it out in right center field. But we have not had those heavy marine layer nights so far this season. Change up. It's a lot of studying being done now as to why suddenly Petco Park has become a home run ballpark when its reputation was a pitcher's ballpark.
You know, Dick, you and I were having this discussion before the game. That's worth mentioning. I think it's a combination, and Bud Black has said this as well. It's a combination of the poor pitching, not hitting your spots, and better hitters.
And then no marine layer, drier air, and maybe some of the big
global warming
skyscrapers here too are making a difference in how the wind enters or doesn't enter the stadium. I know when they have the games where there are no announcers, there's less wind. I mean, that'll help.
That's a proven fact.
Yeah, every time.
And it's a proven fact when the ice caps are melting in Antarctica, it's got an effect down here in San Diego. The ball will travel a little bit more.
2-1. Another ball hit deep to right center field. And you can watch that one fly out of here. It's 2-0. Fowler's 4th of the year. He didn't have to prove our point, Mr. Dexter Fowler. 14 home runs this year from James Shields. He's ready to take a bite out of his glove.
Another thing that manager Bud Black mentioned was falling behind in the count 2-1. That was a 2-1 pitch to Dexter Fowler. You know, the Padres, they rank everything. The team that's 30th after a 1-1 count going 2-1 count 2-1 is the Padres at 30th.
And we talked about that the other night on 1-2 pitches on the this is the entire major leagues. 158 hitters hitting 158 on a 1-2, but on a 2-1 they're batting .331.
And that's why we mentioned earlier, 2 of your first 3 pitches should be strikes. If you can sit in that seat and be 1-2 rather than 2-1, it changes the whole complexion of the at-bat.
Well, he's got 2 strikes in a hurry. 0-2 now on Bryant, who struck out the first time. Ground ball deep at third. Spangenberg, the long throw in time. But damage done. The home run ball, a couple of solos. Coghlan and Fowler, and the Cubs lead 2-0. Program donated a total of $28,000. What high schools were those?
Torrey Pines High School is going to benefit. Mount Carmel High School, St. Augustine High School. Earlier today, thank you so much for that check presentation.
Isn't that great? Each
awesome.
School received tickets also to tonight's game. Mission Fed donates around $1.5 million a year to local charity. $1.5 million, and education. What better source for giving back.
Good for them.
Jed Jerko, he's raised his average up to 225. Big home run on Sunday to deep center field. The home run ball biting the Padres as it did on Sunday when the Nationals hit a couple.
A few times that Hamill has gone up the ladder 0-2 by design.
One and two, and high again, 2-2. So with the 2 home runs tonight, it's 49 homers have been hit at Petco this year. More home runs here than at Coors Field in Denver.
Wow.
Unfortunately, 28 by the opposition, 21 by the Padres as Jerko goes around on a pitch away. Second strikeout for Hamill.
Well, that's another bet I would have lost if you would have said to me, hey, on May 19th, those home runs as Jed Jerko clearly goes on the breaking ball.
Alexei Amarista.
Hamill doing a good job of locating not only the fastball, that breaking ball late out of the zone.
Amarista trying to get his chin over that Mendoza line. 196. He's jumping ahead of almost every hitter. 2 strikes again.
Adding a little bit as well. That was 94 on the fastball. We've seen consistently about 91, 92 from Hamill.
Good pitch to hit there.
Not a lot of working out of the stretch for Jason Hamill this year. His whip, walks, hits, innings pitched, it's below 1.
Interestingly, he was with the Cubs, traded last year, and then a free agent this year. He was eager. He and his wife wanted to get back to Chicago. I think they bought a home there. And there is what we talked about earlier, the last 4 starts. 2-0 with a 1.86. Hitters batting 190. He hadn't given up a hit yet tonight. 7 straight retired. A couple of strikeouts and a couple of fine defensive plays behind him by Fowler in center and Bryant at third. A reminder that tonight's game is presented in HD by Sony 4K. Nice turnout on Tuesday night. Folks enjoying those $1 tacos tonight. Ground ball weakly to shortstop. Castro up with it. 8 in a row retired by Hamill. And that'll bring up James Shields. Think about this infield. All 4 of the men behind Hamill on the Cubs infield are 25 or younger. Oh, and they're all talented.
And it doesn't stop there. The Cubs have this 22-year-old in the minor leagues in Double-A, Kyle Schwarber.
He's a catcher, isn't he?
Catcher, left-hander, left-handed catcher, or I'm sorry, left-handed hitting catcher. He is tearing it up.
That Baez kid, they're high on him. He can't force his way into that infield, so they keep him at Iowa so he can play every day. That lifted foul off first and out of play.
You just got to love the competitive nature, though, of QD enjoying a big league ball game.
Mom and Dad are as well, especially Mom. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and Hamill has his 3rd strikeout, and he has been perfect through 3 innings.
Matthews going back to the wall of the warning track. Jumps! It's gone! Home run, Kevin McReynolds, and the Padres have broken it open 7-1.
A date in Padres history brought to you by Geico. That was Game 3, 1984, the NLCS. The Cubs led the series 2-0, needed one more win to advance, but the Padres returned home for that Game 3. 7 runs on the board, 5th and 6th innings, including that 3-run shot by Padres outfielder Kevin McReynolds. And San Diego would win it 7-1 and win the next 2 as well to advance. Cubs with a 2-0 lead on a couple of home runs in the last inning. It's Rizzo, Castro, and Montero. 3 O's. Rizzo, Castro, and Montero here in the 4th. Rizzo lined out to right field his first time. In many ways, he is the heart of the Cubs, not only because of his hitting. He's, as a young guy at 25, he's really taking charge in that clubhouse from all reports.
He really has. Making an adjustment at the plate. Becoming a force for the Cubs. I'll tell you what, you mentioned the last names in O's. Hopefully that's the remainder of the evening. They are O for Castro, 6-3. Montero, a K. Rizzo, fly out to 9.
This is the one ballpark where he's had the least success. Swing and a miss, 1-2 at the change. Batting only 176 at Petco. And tearing it up around most of the other baseball stadia. Shift on. Amarista stays on the shortstop side. They're making that switch again with 2 strikes on Rizzo because he will bunt. And he's been successful with the shift on, just dropping one down that third base side and getting a free hit. Blind again to Kemp. Oh, he misjudged it and it flies over his glove. And Rizzo keeps right on running. Will halt at second base with a double. Hit it so hard it just sailed right over Kemp. Looked as if he wouldn't have to move for it, much like the ball that Rizzo hit in the first inning.
Ask any outfielder. This is something probably Mark Sweeney could talk about playing the outfield. The toughest ball to read, the toughest ball is that one right at you. You really don't have any depth perception. That ball is hit right on the screws, and Matt either held his ground or took a step in and then realized you get to that point of no return, probably the worst feeling for an outfielder, and you start reaching, you start grabbing, you start going back, and the next thing you know, it's over your head.
The leadoff man, a double for Rizzo. Here's Castro, grounded to short his first time. And they used the shift on him the first time, but with a man at second, an orthodox alignment for Castro. A hit machine since he broke into the big leagues as a youngster.
See the landing spot of James Shields on the mound. The other one of Hamill.
It's a significant double for Rizzo at just 25 years of age. He now has 100 big league doubles. Of course, as you all know, the trade, Andrew Kashner from Chicago and Rizzo to the Cubs a couple of years ago. Swing and a miss by Castro, and another strikeout for Shields. His 6th.
He's got the feel for the old number 2 tonight. Great break, great depth on that. And look where it ends up, out of the strike zone. Castro commits and he cannot hold up.
Montero struck out the first time. 6 strikeouts tonight, 70 on the season for Shields. High fly ball, and that ball was tagged pretty well. Upton shy of the warning path. Rizzo is not going to try to advance. No reward with taking that chance with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Jorge Soler. Soler took a 3rd strike. One of the many Cubans here in the last few years to migrate north and bring their enormous talent to this game. Look how he spreads out. That's about as wide a stance as you'll see. And he closes it as the pitch is delivered.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not a stride. It's almost like a drag. He'll drag that foot, bring it up just maybe a little bit. Watch that front foot. Open stance. That front foot is down. The hands are back. Remember, it's getting in that one position.
High fly ball, just missed that one. Venable easing his way into right center for the catch. Leadoff double by Rizzo. No harm done. Padres come up top of the order, last of the fourth. The Padre dugout. He's out there under the big scoreboard. The landing he is.
Yeah, thanks, Dick. Landing presented by Cabo Wabo. What a great view underneath the scoreboard, but you can see the outfield and also the bullpens over here. So if anyone's warming up, you can watch that. And also, particular, you can see the outfielders moving and shading to certain areas, and that's what I love about out here. And there's never a bad seat out here at Petco.
As we've said many times, the beauty of this game as a fan is that no matter where you're sitting a different game.
Yeah.
And it has its own wonderful perspective. Playing left field, Sweens tonight.
Yeah, they ended up putting me out here because it was a spot start, so I had to get out here and do my best.
Hey, Mark, one of the beauties of the landing is that you're not hunkered down to one seat, right? You can mingle across the whole landing, or you could belly up to one of those high tables, correct?
I think that's the greatest thing. It just gives you that baseball atmosphere, but you can also hang out, like you said, Mark, and talk to your friends and enjoy a ball game. But what a great view. You see everything out here in left field. And listen, we all know Petco Park is the most beautiful park in major leagues.
2-1 now to Spansenberg, 2-2, and it appears there's a libation or two available out there on the landing.
Yeah, it's never available to us, but there is in social sparklers, we'll call them.
2-2. A little looper, Castro. 10 straight retired now by Jason Hamill.
Well, you ask about the landing. How about this? A private 300-person group space. The one thing that really sticks out to me, ultimate party deck right there. All-inclusive food and beverage. How can you go wrong, Mr. Enberg?
I don't know. Conveniently located by the Park at the Park and the gas lamp gate. After the game, go right into all those wonderful eateries in the gas lamp district. Norris robbed of a hit by Bryant at third, his first time, and boy, Hamill consistently getting that slow curveball over.
Mark, you mentioned the perspective from the landing and the outfielders, the way they play. I have a question for you regarding what happened last half inning. That ball that was hit over the head of Matt Kemp. You've played the outfield. Is this one of the toughest balls to judge?
It is, and the difficult part is that line drive, and you don't know how how well it's hit. You go on sound, but also that reaction. There's a read step involved. If you're an outfielder, that first step has to be back, and you have to read it, and then you have to adjust to the ball.
And he did take the false step forward, and by the time he could reverse his course, it had flied over his glove for a double. 1-2 to Norris.
Guys, I think typically as an outfielder, you will play deeper. If you don't feel comfortable or you don't know where to play, you'd rather be deeper and moving forward than vice versa. And the good outfielders, you remember Andrew Jones for the Atlanta Braves, always played a shallow center field. And then because he went back on baseball so well, and you're seeing Dexter Fowler out here in center field. This is exactly where they want to do. They want to be the pressure of those guys, so you take those little bleeders that are in between the infielders and the outfielders.
You get a perspective of how far Fowler had to run to get Spangenberg's ball in the first inning. A lot of green grass out there to cover. Norris fouls it away. It remains 1-2. Matt Kemp to follow. If someone gets on, Justin Upton. A chance to swing the bat here in the fourth inning.
Dick, remember earlier we were talking about pitchers getting ahead. Well, the first time through the lineup for Jason Hamill, he was 0-2. 0-2 to 6 of the 9 Padre hitters.
Another foul. Well, you were mentioning Bert Blyleven, and I think a lot of fans thought you were joshing a bit about how many home runs he gave up.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't give up 500, but he did serve up a few.
He did. In 1986, the Hall of Famer surrendered 50 home runs. In 1987, 46 home runs. And according to my math, in 2 years, that's 96 home runs.
And he goes to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And Derek Norris goes to the bench with the 4th strikeout from Jason Hamill. Perfect so far with 2 outs in the 4th, this 32-year-old right-hander. So to complete that story about Hamill, last year at midseason, he was traded to Oakland, and that was the Jeff Samardzija trade that he and Samardzija went to Oakland, and they got young Addison Russell in that deal, plus 2 others from the A's. And then he pitched for Oakland August, September, then a free agent, and he wanted to come back to Chicago. So he signed a nice 2-year, $20 million deal to be back with the Cubs and paying dividends here this year. 3-1 overall. And as we mentioned, has put together 4 outstanding starts, and right now this would qualify as a 5 in a row. So he falls behind Kemp 2-0. Change up 2-1. He was 2-6 after the trade to Oakland, so he didn't fare well up in the Bay Area. Two and two.
I think one of the reasons why Hamill came back to the Cubs was the Joe Madden factor. He was drafted as a Ray, played for Joe Madden in Tampa Bay in 06 and 07 and 08.
Ground ball right through the legs almost of the pitcher Hamill, but the second baseman Russell right there to cover. And another 1-2-3 inning for Jason Hamill. Lawn Casino, only 25 miles from Petco Park. By Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. And by Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. With our Mark Sweeney out on the landing, giving us his expert analysis from that perspective, checking in from the outfield in. And we go to the 5th inning. Coghlan, Hamill, and Russell against James Shields. Coghlan homered, first pitch he saw from Shields, and takes a strike. Goes off speed. Coghlan homered to lead off the 3rd, and then Dexter Fowler, with 2 outs, homered as well for the 2 Cubs runs. Weak wave there, guessing, and the changeup fooled him.
Mark Sweeney, you've got a great perspective. You can look right into the dugout, plus you see the outfielders. They're always looking into Jose Valentin in that dugout to get a positioning in which way they want to go, correct?
Mark, such a good point. First of all, your first game of the series, you're going to go on a lot of the scouting reports, and you're going to have that advanced scouting where you know you're going to play, and it's all predicated on the center fielder and where he positions himself, because he wants to have that distance in between the left fielder and the right fielder where he can cover. But they all know they'll look into Jose Valentin, like you talked about, and get that defensive position, which is so important, because if you pitch to a location, you know that's typically where they're hitting the baseball.
Got him. Good curveball. And that is strikeout number 7 for Shields, and brings up the number 8 hitter, the pitcher, Jason Hamill.
And with that pitcher coming up to the plate, probably some outfield positioning going on.
Yeah, and you see Matt Kemp shifting over to that right field line, but also moving in just a little bit and protecting from that line drive that falls in. And Will Venable moves over from the left field side to the right field side.
Hamill struck out swinging. As we mentioned, he's had good success with the bat. Now 5 for 19 on the season. Another weak wave.
And Mark, something I've learned talking to outfielders through the years, outfielders, and you could touch upon this, even they'll kind of change, maybe not a lot, but their mindset during a certain count. If it's a fastball count, they might loosen those hammies a little bit, knowing that if the pitcher doesn't hit his spot, this hitter might, hit it into the gap a little bit more, so cheat a little bit.
You're exactly right. You look at Will Venable and Matt Kemp, they're controlling that side of the field if you pitch him correctly. But Justin Upton holding his ground in left field, possibility of just hanging that breaking ball, the changeup.
Chop foul at the plate.
Because, guys, you have to realize that if you have a mistake thrown by the pitcher, you have to cover your areas. Yes, you're exposing yourself to that left center gap, but you have to do that in certain situations.
Yeah. There's Matt Kemp in right field. Bigger gap in left center field with Upton playing straight away and Will over on the first base side of second base.
Stays alive, 1-2, with Addison Russell, the young second baseman, hitting next.
There's that gap I'm talking about, Dick, right there, as opposed to the smaller gap in between Kemp and Venable. But see, if James Shields hits his spots, Hamill can swing the bat. He'll hit it to right field.
Swung on and missed. Strikeout number 8. What's interesting is that when it wasn't so well analyzed, the hitters and how to position them, if you had a pull hitter, and it was right-handed pull hitter, then the left fielder would move closer to the line. The center fielder would play a little more into left center, and the right fielder might play in a step or two, but a little off the line. It was just kind of everyone just kind of moved left and right depending on what side of the batter's box the player was hitting. But now, you get infields playing shading toward left, the outfield toward right.
Yep. Look at the infield, a little bit that way, right? Outfield going about that way.
Russell popped up the first time. Fastball just misses away, 1-1.
And guys, James Shields knows he's a typical fly ball pitcher, but also can induce the ground balls. But you have to play a little bit deeper when this guy's on first, and he is a fly ball pitcher because you want to try to cover those areas. But if you think about it, and I learned this at an early age, Steve Reed, a sinker baller, said to me, listen, I want you to play up as much as you can, because if I make my pitch, I have to cover those areas where they're just falling in the middle of the infielders and the outfielders. So he said, if I make a mistake and it's over your head, that's on me. So most pitchers will think that way.
Line foul down the right field side, back into the first row. 2-2 to young Addison Russell. And he does look young, doesn't he?
How you doing?
Pace, Florida. That's in the northwest part of the Sunshine State.
Change up right here. Ooh, fastball.
Full count.
Just missed with the heater. Everything's away. James Shields trying to keep everything away to Addison Russell. And he wants to roll over the signs again. Fastball grip. Looks like he's going to stay with the heater.
And he misses, and that's the first walk, but not by much. He thought he had a strike. First walk of the evening from James Shields. With 2 outs, we go to the leadoff man, Dexter Fowler, and remind you that our closed captioning for tonight's game brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. Fowler struck out in the first, hammered a home run, his 4th of the year, into the jack deck in the 3rd.
Now it seems like Justin Upton is playing a little bit on the deeper side in left field, Mark Sweeney, as Will Venable slides over towards the third base side of second base. Now that gap is big in right center field.
Change up for a strike.
There's Will. He drew a line straight up the gut right there. He's on the third base side.
But Fowler beat that strategy with a home run.
Yeah.
He pulled that to right center. Well, more straight away right. Fowler to right, and Coughlin to right center.
Looks like he just didn't get it in enough, because that's where Derek Norris was set. It was set up inside, but once again, it's just a matter of an inch or two. And these big league hitters, you make that little mistake, they can't capitalize on it.
Chopped to short, and Marista will have to hurry his throw, and gets him by a half step. We're at the halfway mark of this one. That means we're at the quarter point of the season.
upper half with a beautiful swing. It's the lower half that generates a lot of power. You see the balance in his swing, also the leg drive that creates a backspin and also carries his barrel through the baseball that powers the baseball to all fields.
And that incredible power producing 10 home runs, 8 of those here at Petco, 2 of them on Sunday. He leads off here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Padres have yet to reach base safely, as Jason Hamill has been perfect through 4.
That was a great breakdown by Mark Sweeney, talking about the bottom half of Justin Upton.
Strike 2.
And Mark, you know what? You could go 60 feet 6 inches out to the mound, and it's the same principle for a pitcher. Talking about the front leg, it gets stiff, it generates that power up on top. You get that whip action. Same type principle with the bat and with the arm for a pitcher.
It's a fair ball, and Bryant throws high and into the crowd. Air mails it, and Upton will go to second base. He's got a strong arm, and this one got away from him. A 2-base error, and the Padres finally have somebody aboard, and Hamill will have to pitch from a stretch.
And the Padres have to take advantage of that throwing error. It's where the ball is touched. It's not where Chris Bryant was. It's where the ball hits his glove. And according to third base umpire Mike Esterbrooks, that was touched in fair territory. He works underneath it. And Anthony Rizzo can only go so high.
So here's Solarte. And we'll see whether or not Hamill, who is for the first hour and 20 minutes has been able to work from the windup, now has to, for the first time, pitch from the stretch. Sometimes it makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Try to work the count here. Get a good pitch to rip at. Trade places with him.
Slap foul.
Guys, if we look at that play for Chris Bryant, it looked like he had to contend with that third base. He peeked down and looked at the third base and then unleashes that throw over Rizzo's head.
So he's in foul territory, but the ball carried over the bag and was called fair. Line drive, base hit. So Solarte delivers. Upton's around third, and he will score. And the Padres are on the board. Their first hit produces a run. Solarte. His 22nd RBI. Upton, the beneficiary of that 2-base throwing error, hits home plate.
Out front of it a little bit. As we take a look at this pitch, it's a curveball. Stays back just enough. And cuts the Cub lead in half.
The hitter is Will Venable. A tying run with no one out there in the form of Solarte. Venable in a nice little streak. 391 the last week or so. Got a good pitch there. Will, on a broken bat, sent a soft fly ball to third his first time. And just fortunately, Hamill was able to elude a bat head that was like a spear pinwheeling itself right at him. Just missed him. And a double play ball here. 4, 6, 3, a double play. Made to order right at the second baseman Russell. And the Cubs support Hamill with a quick 2-out double play. That'll bring up Jed Jerko.
You know, I mentioned that Hamill's been touching 91, 92, but he's got a little bit of run in that fastball down and away to the lefties. That one was off the end of the bat. Looked like Will Venable trying to pull that baseball to the right side and gets the double play ball. But Padres got that skunk out of the box here in this inning, getting on the board.
Jerko struck out on a breaking ball away the first time. May has been much kinder to the West Virginian, hitting .351 since the beginning of this month. He falls behind 0-2. 70th pitch coming up from Jason Hamill. Well, Myers announced today that he has been placed on the 15-day DL with that wrist tendonitis. So he would be eligible to come back next week during the Anaheim series. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So an unearned run, but the Padres will gladly accept it. The two-base throwing error from Bryant on Upton's ball and Solarte's line single to right. And after 5 innings at Petco, it's the Cubs 2 and the Padres 1.
Famous USD alum out there, and what he's done, you know, from a publicity standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, I don't know that you can really measure that. Like I said, he's the poster boy for USD, not only USD baseball, Allie, but the university as itself. What he represents in terms of his character, his work ethic, how humble he is. It's just pretty amazing. You can't really put it into words.
Chris Bryant, and he delivers right off the coach's favorable words and description with a line single to left field to lead off the 6th inning. And he didn't mention that he was also an academic star, a 3.3 grade point average. He's the complete package.
And a prince of a kid. All around good egg. Rich Hill's got quite a program over there. Sure, he wants to develop players, but more importantly, he wants to develop good young men after going through the USD experience.
Anthony Rizzo, a double line drive misjudged by Kemp and Wright, leading off the 4th, but Shields pitched around it. 2-1, Cubs lead here in the 6th. It's a strike, a changeup.
Well, James Shields knows he wants to throw up a goose egg. How about ordering up a double play right here? Get 2 quick outs. Maybe roll over one of those changeups after the Padres got one of those runs in the bottom of the 5th.
Shift is on, so it would be one of those double plays where Amarista would have to do some fancy footwork. He's over on the second base side.
Well, we've seen Alexi do some Fred Astaire work over there at second base. He'd have to go that way to turn it over there. We've seen that. Oh, yeah.
Spangenberg stays on the third base side until there are 2 strikes. 1-1. Rizzo, ever since he first came up to the Padres as a promising first baseman, had his troubles hitting that first year here, but no problem in pitchers hitting him, and that's continued this year. He's been plunked 11 times.
You know why I think that is? How do you get Rizzo out? Breaking balls down and in? I think he's been hit. I'll bet you a dime to donuts, and I love donuts. that the majority of those hit by pitches have been breaking balls down and in, that back foot, that back leg.
Another changeup, 1-2.
That is the Bugs Bunny changeup. Remember the changeup Bugs Bunny threw? He threw one pitch and he struck out the side on one pitch. 1, 2, 3, gone. 1, 2, 3, gone. 1, 2, 3, gone. That's the old Bugs Bunny changeup there.
That was Porky Pig.
I think so.
Just got a piece of another changeup. Stays at 1-2. Of course, Rizzo initially coming over to the Padres in the Adrian Gonzalez trade.
Now James can do so many things. He can throw the curveball. He can locate the fastball. He can pull the string again on the changeup. I'm betting on another changeup right here.
Lifted up behind short. Out goes Amarista. So with 2 strikes, he had shifted from the second base side back to his normal position with the threat of the bunt gone, and makes the play. 1 out to Starlin Castro, who was grounded out and struck out tonight. Shields 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. 2 runs on solo home runs, Coughlin and Fowler. There's been a lot of speculation about this man. He's a very talented hitter. His defense at shortstop at times has been questioned, but he's got such a good bat. And with young Addison Russell, a natural shortstop, now with a big club playing second base, there is the surplus that the Cubs enjoy, and Castro could command a pretty good piece of property in a trade. Right at first, 1 out. There goes Bryant. Fouled away.
You know, who says you can't have a little fun on the baseball diamond? Look at this play right here. Bryant makes the play at third. This against the Reds. And Castro is doing the old mirror behind him. And Anthony Rizzo's like, hey, you're messing me up. Am I seeing double? Do I have something caught in my eye? Guy's having a little fun on the diamond there.
Breaking ball fouled, and it's 1-2 to Castro.
Nice shot from the landing where Mark Sweeney was a couple of innings ago.
Castro was just 20 years of age when he broke in with the Cubs in May of 2010. And in his debut, knocked in 6 runs. The Cubs said, I think we got one here. 80 pitches now for Shields. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got him to chase, and that's 9 strikeouts tonight.
Well, Starlin Castro is a perfect example, a classic case of a hitter where you can expand the strike zone. What do I mean by that? 2 strikes? Well, you don't have to throw a strike, because he will wave at a lot of pitches out of the strike zone, particularly the James Shields curveball. Good pitch, bad hack. Good result.
Catcher Miguel Montero has struck out and flied to left. Changeup misses.
Well, the Padres have the rover working. Shallow right field. Amarista. Spangenberg. Love the rover.
1-1 and another changeup.
James has got the feel for the curveball and the changeup tonight. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the home runs were on fastballs, I believe. Just 2 bad pitches. Both of them fastballs. He just missed with location. Sneak into Derek Norris here and see what he flips down there. Oh, Cambio. Up, slider. Up, fastball. Up, fastball in. Curveball. Went with the curveball.
And misses 2-1. Montero, while he grew up in Venezuela, both parents are from Spain. They moved to Caracas at a young age from Spain. And it's 2-2. A steady diet of changeups. What in the Trevor Hoffman's going on here?
Very nice, Professor. It just goes to show you, if you are a young pitcher, develop that changeup grip. Get used to throwing it. Throw the fastball. Throw the changeup. Same arm slot, same arm speed. It's just a different grip on the baseball.
He's a strike away from double figures. He has 9 strikeouts already.
Fastball in. Get it in there.
Runner goes. Throw by Norris. Not in time. Bryant with a steal. The Cubs under Joe Madden are running. That's a 37th steal, second most in the National League. Cincinnati leading the way, and the Padres actually are third.
Pretty good jump. Pretty good pitch to handle for Derek Norris as well. Just short hop. Nice job by Corey Spangenberg.
Third steal for Bryant this year. And a full count Montero. Got him swinging on another changeup. Oh my, 10 strikeouts for Shields. Second time this year he's hit double figures. One hit, a single to Solarte that knocked in an unearned run. He struck out 5. Typical of his terrific control. He walks few. He's not walked a man tonight. Time for In the Driver's Seat, brought to you by Kia. And Hamill has indeed, but for the error, would be working on a shutout.
Working quickly, working around the plate. Only a bad throw from the only base runner for these Padres. That was an error by Chris Bryant that led to a Padre run in the 5th.
Bottom of the order, Amarista, then the pitcher Shields, and Spangenberg, the leadoff man, and squaring and taking ball 2 is Amarista.
Check that, Professor. 2 base runners. The error and then the single by Solarte. I beg your pardon.
Amarista grounded to short the first time. That one's going to go into Souvenir City. Bring your glove if you've got the seats down in that left field corner. You're going to get some souvenirs. Nice turnout on Tuesday night, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Another foul, and it remains at 2-2.
Got a lot of people in left field and the bleachers there in both decks. The Jack deck in right as well. There's a fan covering it all. The old, the new, the 98 jersey.
Another foul off to the left.
98 hat.
Listening to Ted Leitner and Bob Scanlon on the radio side, not missing a beat. Those 3 gentlemen go over the hitters, I'll bet you. Swing and a miss, and Amarista is strikeout victim number 6.
Well, after fastball's fouled off down the left field line, Hamill pulls the string, flips up a curveball.
Shields, who struck out his first at bat, will get to hit here in the 6th inning. Philadelphia and Colorado playing tonight in the Mile High City. They're tied at 5 in the 8th. Out of play. San Francisco hosting the Dodgers in a big series in the Bay. They lead 1-0. The Giants in the 5th.
It's a nice catch by that young man.
He looks like an athlete, doesn't he? 1-1 to Shields. Line drive. That's a base hit into the left field corner. James Shields on his way to second base with a double, and the Padres have the pitcher in position. He's the tying run. Shields' 3rd hit of the season. That'll give him some bragging rights. His first extra base hit.
I think Jason Hamill may have flipped up a breaking ball that misses. One of the few that he's thrown tonight as a mistake. And James Shields, it speeds up his bat, pulls it down the left field line. And you know, Dick, as he came out of the box, I was like, okay, ho, Nelly, don't go too hard there, big boy. We don't want you to get hurt. He realizes it's in the gap and kind of throttles down a little bit, downshift, and cruises into second base.
Spangenberg swings and misses, ball in the dirt. Well, that's the first extra base hit produced by a Padre pitcher this year. Spangenberg has lined to deep left center. An excellent running one-handed catch made by Dexter Fowler. He popped to short the last time.
Well, the key here is to get James Shields crossing home plate and give him a little bit of breathing room and send about 5 or 6 more hitters up to the plate.
And a soft roller to second. Russell right there to throw out Spangenberg as Shields moves to third. Now it's up to Derek Norris. Hit taken away from Norris by Bryant at third in the first inning, and he struck out swinging the last time. Yeah, they're all good seats, even those in standing room out there in the park at the park. Got the TV screen going for you.
Yeah.
You want to come down into those that bleacher section? There's seats there as well. Right man in the right spot might be the chant from the dugout. The runners in scoring position numbers for Derek Norris very good. Looks like he wanted to go to right field. Two to 1. Cubs in front on a couple of solo home runs. Padres with an unearned run in the last inning, and they have Shields a tying run at third here in the 6th. Popped him up. Rustled back on the outfield grass. And that's it for San Diego in the 6th. We go on to the 7th. 2-1 Cubs. Jason Hamill, Chris Bryant robbing Derek Norris in the 1st inning. And then the Cubs struck against Shields in the 3rd. It was Coghlan with a home run. And Dexter Fowler also. A couple of solos and a 2-0 lead. Padres got one back after the error by Bryant. Put Upton at second. Solardi brought him home with that line drive single. And that's where we stand with 2 runs, 4 hits for the Cubs, 1 run, 2 hits for San Diego. In the top of the 7th inning, the Cubs have Soler, Coghlan, and Hamill scheduled. Hamill once this year has gone over the 100 pitch mark, in case you're wondering. 107 against Pittsburgh back in late April. Soler took a 3rd strike and fly to center. Right field corner, and that's slicing toward the crowd, and it'll make it into the seats.
Hey, girls' night out, going home with a foul ball. Yeah. Hey now. Hey, now it's time for the Cholula flamethrower. And with James Shields on the mound, 94, yo. You know what that is, Dick?
What?
Hot sauce.
That's a strike. It's hardly a flamethrower, but gets the job done at 77.
Actually, I'm playing that one up a little bit because we got our good friends from Cholula in the booth enjoying a big league ball game.
I'm not saying it, maybe it's just me, but the temperature went up 10 degrees when they walked in here. They carry that Cholula in their pockets.
I felt the heat from the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
Them coming down.
Hot sauce. Two and two.
Just missed. James Shields slapping himself there on that back leg, maybe rushing a little bit. Getting a little bit too far out in front, therefore the ball being up in the zone. Might see a changeup here.
Popped him up. I don't think there'll be a play. No, Solardi's going to run out of room. The attendance tonight on this Tuesday, almost 26,000 here at Petco, 25,917. Seeing a good pitcher's duel with Jason Hamill and James Shields going at it. Two men that were drafted initially by Tampa Bay. Ground ball left side. Spangenberg, nice job in the hole and throws him out. Took that one right out of left field. One away. Let's go down to Allie's thumb.
Well, thank you, Dick. And speaking of Corey Spangenberg, I got to know a little bit more about him earlier today. And 3 things you need to know about Corey is, first off, his mother, his sister, and his father are all teachers. And he told me that if he was not a baseball player, he himself would be a teacher as well. He said his favorite thing about San Diego is hands down the weather. And the third thing is the motto he lives by is treat others the way you'd like to be treated. And he's definitely done that so far that I've seen in the clubhouse. He's really got a young leadership role that's very evident.
Yeah, the old golden rule, that'll work every time. Thank you, Allie.
Good stuff, Allie. I just got to know Corey Spangenberg a little bit more.
Spangenberg, that is.
Gotcha. He's a good egg.
So Soler out on a good play made by Spangenberg at third base. Coughlin, the home run the first time up. And then Shields, some revenge, struck him out the next time. Came up with the Marlins in 2009. Terrific season. Won the Rookie of the Year, hit .321 with 9 homers. If memory serves me, wasn't Coughlin the player that on a broken bat, much like the one we saw tonight, was on third base and it speared him right in the chest?
You know what, Professor? I'd have to look that one up. I remember that play.
Check swing. He went around for James Shields. Strikeout number 11 tonight.
Oh, he's got it working. If it's not the changeup, it's the curveball. If it's not the curveball, it's the changeup. So what is it here? That's the curveball.
Yep, he went. So here's Hamill batting for the second time. He struck out both at bats. Shields was the 16th round draft pick by Tampa Bay back in 2000. And then 2 years later, Tampa Bay selected Hamill in the 10th round. So somebody doing some really good scouting of pitching in that Tampa Bay organization. And look at that. Shields gets a double, and Hamill says, I can swing the bat too. That's his 6th hit of the season. Singles to center field. 5th hit given up by James Shields. It was Tyler Colden, not Coughlin.
Right. I remember that.
Close on the name.
Yeah.
But he was on third base and taking his lead off in a shattered bat, and it actually speared him, and he missed a couple of months of the season.
Hey, did you see Hamill there? Big leg kick. The foot was down, the hands were back, and just playing a little pepper to the center of the diamond.
So the 9th hitter, Russell, swings and misses. He's popped up and walked. The only walk allowed by Shields in the 5th inning. A 2-1 Cubs lead. We're in the top of the 7th, 2 out, and Hamill with that base hit at first base. Left center field. That's a tough play for Upton. He can't get there. Does cut it off. Running all the way is the pitcher Hamill. He'll pull up at third on a long single by Addison Russell. So 1st and 3rd with 2 outs as the Cubs threaten pick up an insurance run here in the 7th.
A couple of big keys on this hit. One is Justin Upton goes over to the left center field gap and cuts this one off. Secondly, remember, as Dick mentioned, it's Jason Hamill running with 2 outs. Any other runner, I think they're sending him right there with 2 outs. They don't want to gas their pitcher. So he is held up at third base with 2 outs.
Darren Balsley out to talk with Shields, with the leadoff man Fowler coming up. Fowler with a home run in 3 at-bats tonight. Yeah, just a visit to the mound by Balsley to, it's not just to settle him down, give him a chance to grab some air, think about the situation, get ready to try to retire Fowler.
Now remember, theoretically, there is a base open, that being second base.
But you got Chris Bryant on deck.
Right. If he places the changeup in the right spot, he'll be effective against Fowler or Bryant, whoever he faces.
Ball 1. Joe Madden would like to see Bryant come up because he's the one Cub hitter this year that's been outstanding with runners in scoring position, hitting .394. The rest of the team is batting .175. And they're 0 for 4 tonight. And Bryant has been producing money hits. Pretty close. That's that quick move by Shields that has produced a lot of pickoffs. None yet this year.
That'll shorten up the lead.
Two and 0.
He really overthrew that curveball.
104 pitches now for James. Another changeup.
Pitching backwards, fastball count, pulls the string on the changeup. Throw it. Pull the cord. Parachute comes out, and Fowler way out front.
We talked about the brights of Bryant, who follows. Same could be said for Fowler. He was smart enough that Harvard recruited him. He misses low, does Shields. 3 and 1. Well, I guess the Abbeys don't recruit. They open their doors occasionally.
Exactly.
Opportunity.
I don't think he's thrown him a fastball this at bat.
That ball is struck high and deep to right. Kemp going back, and makes the catch. Oh my. Just did stay in the yard. 2 men left stranded. Kemp reaching for that wall, knew where he was. And the Cubs are denied here in the 7th.
striving for that. That's not my main goal. My main goal is to win the World Series, but, you know, winning MVP would be special.
Well, that's tomorrow after Padres Live. You'll get to meet the man behind number 27 and his journey to the big leagues and to the Padres. Fox Sports San Diego spotlights the real Matt Kemp. That's tomorrow after Padres Live on Fox Sports San Diego. Of course, that'll follow Game 2 of the series. Tyson Ross going against Tsuyoshi Wada, making his first start of the year. He's coming off the disabled list. So Kemp leads off the 7th. Padres trail 2-1. Matt has grounded out twice to third and to second tonight. Only 2 hits off Jason Hamill, the RBI single Jan Solardi, and a double by pitcher James Shields. In the dirt. So the Padres have the big hitters coming up here in the 7th. Kemp, Upton, and Solarte. Off speed. Changeup gets Kemp out in front.
Well, the story tonight for these 2 starters really has been kind of the off-speed pitches, huh?
Yeah, each using a heavy dose of changes.
Hamill spotting his fastball nicely.
Ground ball to short. Castro bobbles and safe as Kemp. That's what we're talking about when he does have critics defensively. A routine ground ball to short. And unable to come up with it cleanly, and the leadoff man on with an error. That's how the Padres scored their first run.
Hey, it happens to the best of them. Just a good old-fashioned boot. Castro just couldn't find the handle.
And the Cubs had come into this game having not committed an error in the last 8.
Castro trying to pick up his pitcher there, realizing, yeah, that's my bad. Hey, roll another one. Well, hopefully the Padres can roll a double.
Upton struck out, and he was safe on Bryant's error leading off the 5th, and that was a 2-base error. And scored on Solardi's single for the 1 run unearned.
Hey, James Harden.
Don't even remind Clipper fans.
That's why you bring your glove. That was a mistake. Justin Upton just couldn't get on top of that baseball enough to do some damage. Look out.
Left-handed Rizzo can slap that tag on you in a hurry. You can't be too casual coming back to the bag. Joaquin Benoit, the 8th inning specialist, getting loose. Home run cut, but the changeup again very effective for both pitchers.
Hey, on a good throw to first base, the advantages of being left-handed. If that ball is on the outside part of the bag, he can just let that ball travel, and then rather than catching out in front and bringing the bag, the ball will travel faster than the glove will with the ball in the glove.
Got him. 7 strikeouts for Hamill.
Well, it's almost as if Jason Hamill is thinking, okay, there was an error. Now I got to go after Upton. Fastball, changeup. Expands the zone with the breaking ball. Justin cannot hang up. Hey, tough to protect when you've got. There's a difference between, you know, the old 0-2 automatic, you bounce it, right? Well, there's that certain pitch that a pitcher can command that entices the hitter. It's close enough, but yet off the plate to where the hitter, right? He has to offer at it. Jason Hamill has that ability. There are a lot of pitchers out there. 0-2, I'll just bounce a 58-footer. Well, that's not going to get a guy.
Grimm and Russell, right-hander Grimm and the lefty Russell getting loose in the Cubs bullpen. Solarte is grounded out and drove in the run in the 5th inning with a line single to right. A tight win at Petco to open this 3-game series. 2-1. Cubs lead it. Padres trying to take advantage of an inning opening error by Castro. He goes strike one. Big hole on that right side with Rizzo holding on the runner. 0-2. The Padres took 2 out of 3 in Chicago back in April, and Solarte had a big home run to help the Padres take that series.
Ten times this evening, Jason Hamill has had a Padre hitter at 0-2.
Waste that one. It was Jason Mott was the pitcher in relief, and Solarte as a pinch hitter drove that one down the right field line, plenty of distance and just inside the foul pole. And that sealed the victory. Another foul.
And believe me, I know that Jason Hamill, when they go over the scouting reports, they'll look at their hits. He remembers that particular at-bat, and he'll put that in his memory bank. And what is he doing here? He's keeping everything away. It's late in the game. Runner is on. One swing puts the Padres ahead. He's keeping everything away, and he's giving them left field. Doesn't want to give him anything in or soft, something he can jerk out of the yard.
Again away. 2-2.
And with that said, the outfield, Coughlin playing over towards the left field line. And Fowler just a little bit on the shortstop side of second base.
Hamill approaching the 100 pitch mark. One out. Kemp at first, safe on the air. Carrying the tying run. Ground ball left side. Bryant gets one there and back to first, not in time. Ball wasn't hit hard enough to turn 2. And Solarte changes places with Kemp with 2 out, and Will Venable will be the hitter. And it's time to check our DraftKings players to watch from the pregame show. Hamill would have been a good pick, wouldn't he? Struck out 7. James Shields the same. 11 strikeouts. Those are all points. Brandon Belt, who has been belting homers in Cincinnati, hit one in all 3 games over the weekend. And Yasmani Grandal is 0 for tonight up in San Francisco.
I think James Shields would be a good pick every night he's pitching. Once every 5 days, he's going to rack up the strikeouts.
So with 2 outs, it's up to Venable.
He's a grinder.
Venable is lined softly to third and grounded into a double play, 4-6-3. In the dirt, gets away, and that'll be a break for the Padres as Solarte rounds second and then will hold the wild pitch. And Venable now in scoring position. So an error in the wild pitch here in the inning, and Padres with a chance to tie it.
Bounced the curveball. Montero tried to backhand it. Didn't get a chance to get his body in front of it. That ball hit so far out in front, I don't even know if he squares up if he keeps that ball in front of him.
Another off-speed pitch. 1-1. That was the curveball, and takes Hamill to his 100th delivery coming up.
Once again, a breaking ball on the outside part of the plate.
Ground ball up the middle, and it's through for a base hit. Here comes Solardi, and the Padres have tied it 2-all. Venable delivers. A couple of errors have paid off tonight. 2 unearned runs, and the Padres gladly accept a tie game.
Jason Hamill went back to the breaking ball, but Will Venable does such a fine job not trying to pull that ball. Sure, it was on the first base side of second base, but a ground ball to the center fielder, getting some love from his teammates, and tying it up for that guy, right-hander James Shields.
Jed Jerko has struck out both times.
He stayed back nicely on that backdoor breaking ball.
Well, Hamill has a good move, but not a bad time for Venable to try to pick up a stolen base and get himself in scoring position. He has only 1 steal this year.
That was one of my best Bud Collins of the year. That was a hanging breaking ball.
I thought you saw a porterhouse steak walk by.
That was one of the few mistakes that Jason Hamill has flipped up there tonight, a breaking ball, and Jed fouls it back. Look at that, pitch number 1, middle in, hanging breaking ball.
It's one of those situations where Hamill wasn't going to throw the ball. He was just going to try to outweight the hitter and try to get Venable to get itchy and take off. Well, quite a contrast in the scoring tonight. The Cubs get 2 solo home runs. The Padres get 2 runs on errors.
Well, if he gets a good jump, see if he can time Hamill.
He's got a nice move, though, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Well, James Shields, he's back even. He's contributed a double. One and one.
Now, I'm thinking with the majority of the pitches tonight that Hamill has thrown, that being pitch 102, a lot have been away. And I think that's where Jed Jerko's strength is. We talk about it all the time. If he can concentrate right center field here and drive it that way, slide step, fastball away. Let's see if Jed can drive it to right center field.
There's a nice gap out there between Fowler and Soler. May has been a good month for Jerko, hitting .351 since the start of this month. 4 doubles and 6 runs batted in, a home run. Snap throw, Montero, and diving back Venable just in time. So Kemp safe on an error, eventually forced on Solardi's ground out, and then a wild pitch, and Venable's 2-out single to tie it. The Padres getting help not only in the error but the wild pitch to get Solarte in scoring position. You can almost add these throws to first as part of the pitch count because he's throwing hard over there.
Maybe another throw over or pitch out. How about a pitch out here? This might be a pitch out. Well, high fastball away.
So it's 2-2 to Jerko. That's the score of the game.
Montero gave the fist on that. Did you see that? I was guessing maybe a pitch out or slide step, fastball away.
Runner goes. Throw by Montero is not in time. Venable's in scoring position. There is that second steal of the season.
Well, he got the jump. It was a good pitch for Montero. It's a handle, a fastball down and away, and the short hop. You see Russell, he's got to come up and then try to go back down. And by that time, Will Vento, keep the hand there, and he does.
The count full to Jerko. Can he deliver?
I'm guessing off-speed pitch right here.
Got him. 3 times up, 3 times struck out as Jerko, but Will Venable takes advantage of some generous play by the Cubs. An error, a wild pitch, and Venable ties it at 2. We've completed 7 at Petco.
The Cubs errors, an exceptionally well-played game. Mark Sweeney, Mike Pomeranz working on Padres Live, the post-game show, which will be brought to you by Cox Communications. Boy, nice recovery from James Shields after a couple of solo shots. He goes 7 innings, 11 strikeouts.
Yeah, he was excellent tonight, especially with the off-speed stuff. You could see setting up that fastball and then going to that changeup. This is his major weapon. When he goes to that changeup, you see so many awkward swings. I thought the curveball came into play tonight, and after those 2 home runs that you talked about, Mike, he settled down nicely and gave his team an opportunity to win the ball game.
Guy is filthy. That's why he's the ace. So we're nodded at 2. We'll look ahead. Hopefully, got a nice Padres win to talk about in the post-game show. Also, guys, we're going to run down the major league leaders in home runs, and our Fox Sports MLB insider Ken Rosenthal tells us which team is selling everybody they can get their hands on right now.
All right, Mike, we'll be there with you right after game's end. All the news, information, other scores, and highlights. As Chris Bryant, then Anthony Rizzo, and Starlin Castro, 3 tough hitters to face reliever Joaquin Benoit here in the 8th. A 1-1 to Bryant, who has struck out, grounded out, and lined a single to left. Our El Cajon forward pitching change. Benoit's numbers, his 18th appearance.
Well, last time out for Joaquin a couple of days ago against the Nationals. An inning, 1 walk. Nice splits, below 200, both sides.
Inside again, 2-1. We mentioned Bryant being an outstanding student, a 3.35 grade point average at the University of San Diego. Originally studying biology as his major. Was going to be a dentist if he wasn't so successful as a baseball player. When he realized that he had all that talent, he switched from biology to finance. He is a smart guy.
Yes, he is.
2-2. Benoit very deliberate, trying to get to sign he likes. 2-2. High, 94. So Shields goes 7, 2 earned runs, both on the home run, 6 hits, walked just 1, and struck out 11. Broken bat. Boy, did he get in his kitchen. Better hurry here. And they just do get him. Jerko just did get that twisting ground ball over to Solarte in time.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the San Diego Padres. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres. And going back to that last play, Solarte broke to his right as if he was going to field that ball, and then had to scamper back very quickly, realizing that Judge Jerko could make the play.
The dangerous Rizzo. He's lined out, lined a double, and popped up tonight. Changeup. It works for Benoit as well. Well, Bryce Harper leaves town with the Washington Nationals as the #1 player in the National League. In on-base percentage, .476, and this man Rizzo is right behind him in second place. Into the shift, Solarte makes it a tough play, and covering well is Benoit. 2 away. Well, we presented our keys to the game with Mark Grant earlier. Let's check him out.
Yeah, the keys to the game brought to you by your Honda dealers of San Diego County. Put the Cubs in hibernation. 2 runs scored. That's the only runs that crossed the plate via the solo shot. And the streak starts tonight. We are tied at 2. Hopefully the Padres can outscore these Cubbies and start with a streak at the first game of the series.
Starlin Castro tried to make amends for that critical error. Last of the 7th inning allowed the Padres to tie it. Check swing foul. Against Shields, he struck out twice and grounded to short. Well, he doesn't like the nickname, so we haven't been using it, James Shields. Big game, but this was a big game for the Padres, and he pitched like a big game pitcher, didn't he?
He sure did. Just taking after the last outing in Seattle.
Ground ball chopped foul off third.
Talked to Darren Balsley before this game about James Shields, and he said from the start of that game in Seattle, he had the foot on the accelerator from pitch #1. He emptied the tank out there. And he followed suit this evening. 11 strikeouts, only 1 walk for Juego G.
Inside Benoit. 2-2. So Shields will not pick up his 6th win of the year. 5-0 at the start, but he gives the Padres a chance to win. So from 0-2 to a full count to Castro. Montero on deck.
Joaquin looked like he was kind of working around that changeup rather than staying on top of it.
So a Tuesday night crowd of 25,917 enjoying a tie game here. Top of the 8th inning, 2 outs, bases empty. Cubs with a couple of solo shots in the 3rd off Shields, Fowler, and Coughlin. Padres with a couple of unearned runs, taking advantage of 2 miscues by the Cubs infield to score in the 5th and the 7th to tie. RBI singles from Solarte and Venable.
Oh, Joaquin all over the map there, but staying out of the heart of the plate.
Another foul. Changeup.
Joaquin going from the windup says it takes a lot of pressure off of that arm. Usually, remember, he was going from the stretch, but an abbreviated windup for the veteran right-handed.
Got him. There's that breaking ball away, and Castro goes fishing again. A 1-2-3 inning for Joaquin Benoit. Here come the Padres, last of the 8th. It'll be Amarista leading it off. Mercury Insurance. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com today and see how much you could save. By Petco, what we feed them matters. And by Cherry 5-Hour Energy Shots, helping support Special Operations Warrior Foundation. Beautiful Petco Park in downtown San Diego. Welcome back. Bottom of the 8th inning. 25,917 have watched the Cubs and Padres battle to a 2-all tie. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and the new man on the mound for Chicago is left-hander James Russell.
4-pitch pitcher for James Russell. The left-hander sports a fastball, changeup, curveball, slider. Not a hard throw. He's got to rely on location. You see the splits there. Lefty's hitting 308, righty's 235, and Bud Black sends a righty up to the plate.
Clint Barmas to hit for Amarista. Veteran Barmas has come up with some big hits off the bench and takes strike 2. Amarista went 0 for 2 tonight. Abraham Almonte is in the on deck circle. Apparently will hit for Benoit. Out of play. One hopper, 1-2. Boy, tough luck night for Jason Hamill. Didn't he pitch well? 7 innings, 2 runs, both unearned, only 3 hits, didn't walk a man, and struck out 8.
That's a hang with him.
Yeah, he leaves with no decision.
Nobody said this game was going to be easy.
Oh, as well as Shields pitched.
James pitched his heart out.
Hamill pitched even better, but neither will come up with a decision tonight. It's up to the bullpens. 2-2. And he spoils that one. Stays alive. Russell's dad, Jeff, was quite a pitcher. 14 years in the majors. Started in '83 with the Reds and pitched for Reds, Rangers, Athletics, Red Sox, Indians, and even Texas. Ground ball pulled foul.
His dad had a nice career, and I think Dad did well when he taught his son how to throw left-handed.
There you go.
His dad was a righty.
Another 2-2 pitch and another foul. Marmas battling away here against Russell. That's 8 pitches in this sequence. Shallow in center, long run for a trio of Cubs. It's the second. No, he dropped the ball. Addison Russell in between the shortstop Castro and center fielder Fowler had a clean play at it. And another critical error for the Cubs, and all 3 errors have come with the leadoff man in the inning.
Any way you can get on base. Got to take advantage of this miscue. I mean, Russell's camp, his body's kind of drifting out to the outfield, and then he kind of stretches to try to catch it out front, even two-handed. You know what? He overran that ball. Going back on it, everybody clears out, 2 hands. He just didn't stop his feet. He kept on drifting, and Clint Marmas was thinking about drifting towards second base, but I'll take the...
alertly, you saw Bryant alertly go over and cover second. So the Padres get another leadoff error to potentially pick up that go-ahead score. Almonte, is he there to sacrifice? You know, the Padres have only been successful on 3 sacrifice bunts all year.
I'm guessing he's putting it down right here. At home, tie score. Get that go-ahead run over.
He squares, and it's a good bunt. If no, kicks foul. He's trying to bunt toward first base. That's the play, and Rizzo has to hold on the runner.
Hey, follow the Padres all season 2015 with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At bat is up to the moment, any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replays. You get the whole shoot match, radio broadcast, statcast, and much, much more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet.
Almonte squares again and fouls again. 2 strikes on Almonte.
This is where I'm a pitcher. I'm throwing a breaking ball. 0-2, 1-2. See if Buddy puts on the hit sign.
He took his left hand and rubbed it across his chest. Was the signal out to third base coach Glenn Hoffman? Is that wiping off?
Good call, Professor.
The sacrifice, or is that stay with it?
Right. You know what? Logically speaking, looking at that, I would guess wipe it off.
That's what it is. Inside, almost hit his foot. 1-2. So the Padres getting their third 4-out inning. Errors are bad enough for any team, but when the error creates the leadoff man safely aboard, it can be very punishing, and has indeed tonight. 2 unearned runs.
Back.
Soft fly ball to left. That could be trouble. If it's fair, it is foul. Russell, 5 years with the Cubs, and then was traded to Atlanta last year. Mid-season, pitched in 22 games, and now reacquired by Chicago.
Fastball in, looks like here.
And he bunts, and it's a beauty. A great bunt by Almonte, and he beats it out. Oh, my. Oh. He can't square around and sacrifice a 2 attempt, and then he pulls off a 2-strike drag bunt that he gets by the pitcher for a base hit.
He picked the right pitch. As we mentioned, fastball in. It doesn't have a wrinkle on it. Gets on top of it enough. And with 2 strikes, lays down a beauty.
So no one out, and runners at first and second for the Padres as we go back to the top of the order.
Now Spangenberg probably putting one down here. Cubs going over the defense. A little chat on the mound as Chris Bosio, the pitching coach for the Cubs, takes the slow stroll out.
Spangenberg has been successful. 2 bunts this year, 2 sacrifice hits.
Well, Chris Bosio wants everybody to know what's going on. Corey Spangenberg wants to bunt down the third base line to draw in Bryant.
Padres fans trying to help San Diego snap out of a 3-game losing streak, get back to 500 on the season. Spangenberg doesn't need to look for signs. He's been told by the head man himself what is expected. Left-hander against left-hander. We'll see if the Cubs infield puts on a play. Bryant has to hold his ground at the edge of the grass at third. Rizzo will be charging from first base. Did he go?
He went on that.
No.
Oh,
they waved it off at third base, Mike Estabrook.
Oh, I thought he went on that.
I did too.
Catch a break. Watch the bat. Does he offer at it? Does he poke at it? You betcha he does.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Wow.
That's a break.
Yes, it is.
The Padres have got more than their share tonight. 3 errors. Bunted to third. Does it stay on the grass? Oh, it just kicks foul.
Dick, I thought it was going to stick on the grass there.
That would have been a base hit. The grass is very fair if you keep it on the grass, but that had enough spin on it to get to the dirt, and once on that dirt alley, it tends to roll foul. Just enough edge of the grass that when it falls off, the momentum is to foul territory. So 1-1 to Spangenberg. But that's where he wants to bunt it. Out in front of the plate. The throw is to second base, and they get the runner there on a close play. So first and third, he does get that go-ahead run over to third base with 1 out. Spangenberg safe on the fielder's choice.
Well, they're showing it on the big board here, and Montero, his momentum is going out, and that's the right play as he gets under it a little bit. Yeah, it looks like he may have gotten him.
I think Bud Black is saying we're going to challenge anyway. Joe Madden, former coaching mate of Bud Black with the Angels back in their World Series championship, and he then, as the fans again see the replay on the big screen, Madden's going to go to the bullpen. And that gives us a chance to pause for these words. We'll be right back. The Padres 90 feet away from breaking a 2-2 tie. 2-2 tie. Well, let's take a look at the National University standings while we have a moment. NL West, the Dodgers with such great success at home. They're 17-5 at Dodger Stadium. Have a 4.5 game lead over charging San Francisco. They're playing each other a 3-game series up in the Bay Area beginning tonight. The Padres 6 off. Arizona 1 tonight. They're 7.5 back. And then Colorado. So Strop comes on to face Derek Norris. Norris has a hit taken away in the first inning. Good play by Bryant at third. He has struck out and popped up since.
Well, you look at the splits there, lefties and righties, well below 200, but you look at the ERA. According to my estimations, the hits that he's given up have been big hits. Throws a fastball and a slider, 93 to 97, a live arm.
Barmas just average speed at third. 96 on the fastball. Ball 1. Spanchenberg at first.
A little high on the walk side also from Strop. 7 walks in 17 innings.
Line drive left field. If it's fair, it is into the corner. Norris has delivered again. 1 run scores. Here comes Spanchenberg flying home. He scores, and the Padres take the lead 4-2. Derek Norris delivers again with runners in scoring position. He's been a terror all year.
After an 0 for 3, takes advantage of a Strop mistake. In off the plate, gets his hands through nicely. And this crowd of 25,000 plus is up on their feet.
A 2-run double for Norris. That hikes his RBI total to 25, second best in the club. Here's Matt Kemp, 0 for 3 tonight. Ball 1. So again, the door opened by a miscue by the Cubs infield. The drop fly ball by young Russell, the second baseman. Then the infield bunt single by Almonte, the pinch hitter. Spanchenberg safe on a bunt, fielder's choice, runners at first and third. And then Norris doubles into the corner, and Spanchenberg with the play in front of him with his terrific speed, able to score all the way from first base with the 4th run. In the dirt, good stuff by Montero.
You know, it's not Chuck Norris, it's Clutch Norris. That was clutch. How about the big fella coming through big time? Turning on the Strop fastball.
He is a pressure hitter. Still only 1 out. With Kemp and Upton a chance to pick up even a 3rd run. Give Kimbrel something to work on in the 9th inning. He's warming up. Kemp holding that left rib cage. Two into the count. Got him. 2 away. Hopefully he didn't pull one of those small muscles on the side on that awkward swing. So Upton struck out twice, safe on an error, scored the first Padre run.
Quackenbush on the right, Kimbrel on the left. If the Padres add on where it's not a safe situation, we'll probably see Quack and Bush. And right now, 2-run lead. Kimbrel.
Ball 1 off speed to Upton. So Russell charged with both of those runs. One of them earned. restore order with time running out on the Cubs as the Padres, with 3 unearned runs of the 4 they've scored, have taken a 4-2 lead. Curveball. It's been a good first quarter of the season for Justin Upton. 10 home runs, 8 stolen bases. I mean, it's ridiculous to say we'll multiply that for 4 quarters and you end up with 40 home runs and 32 stolen bases, but this is a man of enormous talent. 1-2, and he gets him swinging at the breaking ball, and that's the end of that piece of lumber. Upton unhappy with himself as he strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. But the big blow from Derek Norris, a 2-run double into the left field corner to snap a 2-2 tie and send the Padres into a 4-2 lead. Game feature errors by the Cubs. This one on Upton's ball, thrown away by Bryant, a 2-base error, and Solarte would single in Upton to make it 2-1. Another error in the 7th inning set the table for Venables' single to tie it, and then here in the 8th inning, this error by young Addison Russell opens an inning, and Derek Norris punishes the Cubs with that 2-run double. And a 4-2 lead. 3 of the 4 runs unearned, but the Padres thankfully accept all 3. Now it's Craig Kimbrell coming in to try to lock up the win tonight.
Well, last outing for Craig was against the Washington Nationals. It was a few days ago, and his 10th save was recorded on Wednesday at Seattle. He's a strike thrower as well. Good fastball, power curveball.
10 saves for Kimbrell, among the major league leaders. Montero, Soler, and Coughlin, the hitters for the Cubs. 97. Well, he has been absolutely consistent. That first fastball, as far as I can remember, always at 97, maybe a 98. Montero has struck out twice and flying to left. Foul tip, 98. A little ooh and ahs from the crowd, and when that 99 was posted on the big board. Breaking ball here.
That's not a bad call. Looks like a fastball.
Got him. 98 miles an hour at the knees. Another strikeout for Padre pitching. That's the 13th of the game.
All fastballs for Montero. That fastball, even a little tail to it at 97 or 98. Hey, what's 1 mile an hour? It's a punch out.
Soler has struck out, fly to center. And a good play made by Spangenberg at third base, ranging into the hole to deny him. There's the breaking ball. Did he go? No. '97.
Tough to catch up to this heater. Watch how far behind he is. Oh, a little tardy there, Soler. Blown by him.
Two and one. Well, the Welcome to the Jungle music that introduces Craig Kimbrell, written by Guns N' Roses. And in the jungle, you'll find some beasts, and a lot of hitters look at Kimbrell. He is a beast. Trying to hit him. Baseball terminology. And then he sends that one in there. A breaking ball just freezes you.
Oh, the knee buckler. The jelly legger.
Another breaking ball, but it bounces all the way to the screen. So full count to Soler. Chris Coghlan with a home run against James Shields is on deck. Gets a piece of that 97 mile an hour fastball. Got him. 2 away. Went up the ladder. That would have been ball 4. But once you get your hands going on that kind of heat, tough to hold up.
Well, I'll tell you, we've already had our Cholula flamethrower, but there's hot sauce, and then there's muy caliente. And that was muy caliente from Craig Kimbrell.
So 2 down to Chris Coghlan. A 420-foot home run off James Shields in the third. He has struck out the last 2 times. Ball 1. Starts him with a curveball. Mike Baxter came through the Padre organization and eventually was traded, then with the Mets, and now just recalled from Iowa, is on deck. Left-handed hitter. Deep to center field. He got a lot of that one. Venable to the wall. Home run. Coghlan, second of the night. A deep drive to center field as he hits number 5 and number 6, and produces some tension here in the ninth. A 2-out homer for Coughlin to make it 4-3.
Fastball leaks towards the heart of the plate. Wanted that one in, and Craig Kimbrell has that fastball. It's got a little bit of run to it at times, and well out of the reach of Will Venable. Boy, now how clutch is that double, that 2-run double by Derek Norris.
Well, Coughlin, quite a night. See, sandwiches a couple of solo home runs around 2 strikeouts. Mike Baxter just recalled. First at bat of the season in the big leagues. He's got some power. 97 on the fastball, misses. Check swing foul.
How about Mike Baxter getting the call to the big leagues and having to face Craig Kimbrell right out of the gate?
Signed by the Padres as a 4th-round pick 10 years ago. You could see trying to get that bat going early, anticipating the fastball, and the Cubs are down to their final strike, 1-2. Breaking ball in the dirt, 2-2.
Hey, stay tuned after Padres Live, the postgame show. SD Live after Padres Live, the postgame show. Bud Black and Mark Kotsay on SD Live. Talk about this one with the postgame show, and then Bud Black and Mark Kotsay.
What's he going to give him here? 2-2.
I think he's going to give him a fastball.
So the Cubs, 3 solo home runs to account for all their scoring tonight. 2 by Coughlin, 1 by Fowler. But the Padres have the lead 4-3. And a soft looper over the mound, charged by Barmes in time, and the Padres win it. Jammed was Baxter, and that made it a very difficult play with a lot of backspin, and Barmes staying in the game after pinch hitting, able to come up with it and a quick throw just in time.
Well, he jammed him with a curveball, and we've seen Clint Barmes get rid of that baseball quickly so many times. A nice play, a nice stretch by Solarte. A job well done on that play all the way around.
Final score, San Diego 4, Chicago 3. Here's Mike Pomeranz.
Boy, that was a heck of a play by Clint Barmes. When we see you in a postgame show, we've got all the highlights. Show you how the Padres are able to bounce back in this one. Another very strong outing by James Shields. You'll hear from Buddy Black. And Ken Rosenthal tells us the first big league team to throw in the towel.